In the following questions, you study, don't you? Matthew is coming, isn't he? They were wrong, weren't they? Let's observe the tags at the end of the questions with interrogation marks, don't you? Isn't he? And weren't they? These are what we call question tags. We use question tags when we assume the answer to our question to be true, and we just require extra clarification. Mastering question tags is super easy, and you just need to learn a few rules. All normal verbs, non-auxiliary verbs, such as make, clean, swim, run, etc., use the main auxiliary verb, to do, to form the question tag. It's as simple as that. I run, don't I? Jake greeted you, didn't he? I don't know you, do I? Secondly, to construct a question tag you need to use an affirmation, not a question. For example, we walk every day, don't we? Equals, correct. Do we walk every day, do we? Equals, incorrect. The first sentence, we walk every day, don't we, is correct, because there is an affirmation, we walk every day, followed by the question tag, don't we? Lastly, the order can be positive to negative, and vice versa. For example, we love sailing, don't we? We don't love sailing, do we? That is, if the affirmation is positive. Question number 1, then the question tag needs to be negative, and if the affirmation is negative. Question number 2, then the question tag needs to be positive. That's all there is to it. Now, let's take a look at question tags with normal verbs. We use the main auxiliary verb, to do, to make question tags with normal verbs. Non-auxiliary verbs. We'll go over a few examples.
She made that, didn't she? We enjoy programming, don't we? Peter parked his car, didn't he? Jake has a crush on Elizabeth, doesn't he? It doesn't work very well, does it? We spend too much time indoors, don't we? She doesn't study, does she? She made that, didn't she?
Made, enjoy, park, etc. are normal verbs. They are not auxiliary verbs, therefore, they take the main auxiliary verb, to do, to form the question tag. To do must be conjugated depending on whether the verb used to make the question is in the present or past, and which person it is in, first, second, third person singular or plural.
She made that, didn't she?
In, she made that, didn't she, the verb, made, is in the past. Infinitive equals, make, therefore, the past of do is used, did. We use didn't because made is in the positive.
We enjoy programming, don't we?
We have an affirmation, we enjoy programming, which is followed by the question tag, don't we? This is a question tag used correctly.
Jake has a crush on Elizabeth, doesn't he?
Has stems from to have, which is an auxiliary verb. However, with the main auxiliary verb, to have, you can either use to do or to have to make the question tag. I.e., you have a book, don't you? You have a book, haven't you? Both questions are correct. To have is the only auxiliary verb that can use to do to form question tags.
It doesn't work very well, does it?
In "it doesn't work very well, does it?" the affirmation, "it doesn't work very well," is negative, therefore, the question tag, does it, is positive. Negative to positive, or vice versa.
She doesn't study, does she?
In "she doesn't study, does she?" the structure is negative to positive, doesn't study, does she? Also, she doesn't study is in the present tense in the third person singular, therefore, the question tag, does she, is also in the present tense in the third person singular. Main auxiliaries, to be, to have, and to do. Modal auxiliaries, can, could, may, might, will, shall, would, should, ought to, need to, and dare to. All the above verbs are auxiliary verbs, special verbs which are used as helping normal verbs. When we want to use question tags with these verbs, we cannot use to do, except when used with to have. To form question tags, we simply repeat the main auxiliary verb in the tag. The same rules still apply.
I can leave, can't I? You shouldn't work, should you? Henry and James mustn't fight, must they? They have a dog, haven't they? Don't they? Main auxiliary verbs. You're an expert, aren't you? We have many things to do, haven't we? Don't we? Susan did something special, didn't she? Modal auxiliary verbs. I can't find what I need, can I? You couldn't solve the problem, could you? Jerry may arrive soon, mayn't he? You might want to consider the consequences, mightn't you? I'll be back soon, won't I? Emma shall know by tomorrow, shan't she? I wouldn't have a clue, would I? They shouldn't be so cruel, should they? Jim ought to apply himself, oughtn't he? It needn't concern you, need it? I dare to cross paths with him, daren't I? I can't find what I need, can I?
In "I can't find what I need, can I?" the affirmation is, "I can't find what I need," which is negative, therefore, the question tag, can I, is positive. Can is an auxiliary verb, so the verb is repeated to make the question tag instead of using to do.
You couldn't solve the problem, could you?
Couldn't solve is negative, therefore, could you is positive. Negative to positive, and vice versa.
Jerry may arrive soon, mayn't he?
The contracted form of may not is meant. I.e., we mayn't talk loudly, may we?
I'll be back soon, won't I?
The contracted form of will not is won't. I.e., they'll speak, won't they?
Emma shall know by tomorrow, shan't she?
The contracted form of shall not is shan't. This form is rarely used and may appear somewhat archaic.
Jim ought to apply himself, oughtn't he?
Ought to, need to, and dare to all take to, but to must not be inserted in the question tag.
I dare to cross paths with him, oughtn't I?
The contracted form of dare not is daren't. This form is perfectly correct. Just like mayn't, however, these two forms are not widely used.